Who do you like?
I like Kaido. Kaido da. Kaido!
I always bet on Kaido.
Luffy to
Win. Let it ride.
Hello everyone, Skippy here, and welcome to One Piece episode 1033, directed by Ryosuke Tanaka and supervised by Chu Youngsa, Masahiro Kitazaki, and Hirotaka Ito. Tanaka has quickly become one of the best directors on the series after only just recently getting the chance to be a regular episode director, and 1033 looks to be no exception to that rule, with his ambient and hugely ambitious storyboard painting the episode with an insanely huge and bombastic look that makes note of it being truly something special, allowing him to lay the stage for the massive amount of extensions that we're going to be seeing this battle, that'll only be supported visually by some of the best animation staff that the series has to offer. With that and the great preview in mind as we dive in head first to this insanity, will episode 1033 be yet another home run for Tanaka and quite possibly his best episode yet? Let's get ready to conquer and find out. This episode covers the Sanji content from 1012 not covered last week, and most of the Big Mom content and the very end of chapter 1013. And while it does every single ounce of those parts amazingly with Tanaka's keen sense for comedy among other aspects that we'll discuss later in the storyboard, it's really the fact that this episode, like 1026, is pretty much original content in the form of Luffy versus Kaido action that really goes a long way in making it stand out. As we all know in the manga, there was no sign of what happened after chapter 1011 and before Luffy's unfortunate loss at the end of 1013. So to see the staff get to create such insane wall-to-wall action that depicts how zeal-fueled and relentless this battle between the two has become is such an awesome sight to see, and really shows how much the adaptation aspect by and large has improved this arc. It was rare in previous arcs to get such extensive additions to action like this, and this is already the second episode in the past 10 or so that has done it, and flawlessly at that. Being the right type of connective tissue that the story needs for this blank period of time within it instead of plainly copying the manga, and the storyboard of course goes a long way in adapting that all. Ryosuke Tanaka's boards have always been far and away some of the most ambitious on the show, but it's really what I think he pulls off here in terms of not just sheer atmospheric compositing and visuals, but action as well, that really puts this one at the top of the food chain for him. Crafting such hard-hitting and scale-based action from his own brain that, like stated before, takes the fight up an ante when compared to where it was at before, all the while creating some of the most breathtaking compositions both in and around it all. It gets intense, and through his own layout corrections on the vast majority of the animators on the episode, it manages to really exude the type of dynamic and sheer visceral power that you can tell he wanted this episode to show off from head to toe. Being accompanied by some absolutely gorgeous visual motifs as well, like the constant reoccurring shots of the moon, that above everything make for some truly beautiful compositions that are more than wallpaper worthy. It's really just amazing how he was able to pair together such minimalistic but ambient colors and scenery, and even in the Big Mom sections of the episode that hit just as hard despite lifting more from the manga than the aforementioned section. When even the comedy manages to hit too, and stuff like Sanji's scenes with Zoro being so visually creative and funny, 1033's board overall just comes off as perfect to me. And we're lucky that it managed to be graced with some of the best animation staff that the series currently has in its arsenal to bring it all to life. While Tanaka most definitely helped out a lot of the episode through his own layout corrections, and helped bring not only more dynamic poses, but also just sheer character acting to the table in instances like the Sanji scene, this episode is in no short supply of fantastic talent like that in every crevice that really goes the extra mile to make sure that it looks stunning animation-wise. With most people, including the most prominent of the three supervisors and newly minted third Chief AD Chu Young-se, doing a fair bit of the Luffy and Kaido fight. But there's still a lot to love and admire in the scenes that don't concern that portion either, with both series regulars and guests pulling out the big guns to do justice to Tanaka's board and then some. Both large and small quantities of work really do add up to some really impressive and extremely eye-candy filled scenes that stand as a reminder of what the series can accomplish now, starting with this arc. With that being no more apparent than in the scenes from Akihiro Ota in the A part, that surely pushes the series out of its comfort zone visually, but move like an absolute dream as always, with such insanely wobbly yet firm light art and smears on both the hardest held to animate Kid and the hard-hitting third times the charm Red Rock that Luffy attempts. And yet another star name that fans of the show will know with Vincent Chan's art is also here once again, doing the same by showing up after only 5 episodes and not doing too much in the grand scheme of things because of that, but still bringing to life his scene in the most expert 3D way and bringing along his friend Lise as well to help out, who helps with one of the most crazy good displays of 3-dimensional movement and rotations in the series that is close to Vincent's own ability, and that is of course peppered with an absolute love for background animation. When even Takeshi Mayanami, who hasn't appeared on the anime proper for so long, gets to show up and do the cinematic and penultimate wind up to the end of the episode with his snappy timing and lovely art as always, it really shows the type of talents both in and out of Toei that the production staff, the director, and the ADs gathered to really make sure that this episode was special. While Tanaka and the ADs like Chu and Kitazaki specifically did a lot of the heavy lifting themselves and making sure scenes were perfect, there was no doubt an absolute array of animators on this episode that gave this crazy good board their all, and that helped it soar all the way up high to being one of the series' best episodes, best action episodes, and one of Wano's absolute bests, no question. I'm very excited for Tanaka's future on the show, even more than I was after his past few episodes, because if this is what could be considered his best of the best, I'm only imagining what he can do with certain upcoming content. Next week we'll be taking a bit of a breather after this major action set piece with the follow-up to it all in the outsourced 1034. That this time is being outsourced to Studio Bridge instead of either Magic Bus or Masket, and is being handled overall by the character designer for Fairy Tail and the new Shaman King Akihiko Sano. So I don't know quite what to expect, especially for an outsourced offering, as I'm not really too familiar with their work, but we should be in for a decent one, I hope, all things considered. Anyways guys, that's it for now. I'm Skippy, and Ryosuke Tanaka, I kneel.